How about Kyle Shanahan going for it on 4th down and 3? Yeah, it was 4th and 3 at the Carolina 43. Third quarter, 8 minutes and change left. The Niners were up 8 because the Panthers had gone for 2 to make it a 6-point game. Didn't get it, and it was 17-9.
Decision.
That one I was like, what?
A little early.
Okay, that's what the chart says. Fine. I'll look forward to Nebraska doing that next year. Although you could hire Matt Rule like next week probably if you want.
It felt a little bit like, okay, Dave Tepper, your guy keeps telling me to do this. I'll fucking do it for you.
Could have been. But it feels like Rule would also be very pro analytics, so I don't know. In any event, let's talk about the fact that Kyle Shanahan went for it 4th and 3, up 1 score at the opposition's 43-yard line, pre-injury to his kicker.
One, I think it's a no-brainer. Punting at the 43, because you're not kicking a field goal there, right? That's
not out of field goal range.
Yeah, so it's out of field goal range.
60-yarder.
You are not punting, playing the Carolina Panthers up 8, so they can't take the lead even if you get stuffed. You're playing Baker Mayfield in one of the worst offenses in the league. To me, a punt there would have been an embarrassment. Now, going for it, everyone's like, well, they got bailed out on the PI. Well, that's part of why you go for it, is because you watch the NFL, they fucking throw flags every other play. Now, where I don't like going for it there is when you just run it up the gut. Some teams do that, right? Brandon Staley does that, and you get stuffed. That's, to me, it's like, well, what's the play call? I have absolutely, that's what I want out of Kyle Shanahan. And what kind of pisses me off is I think it's easy for him to go for it because he doesn't see an equal. He doesn't see a team where in his mind we're losing this game. Because I think at that point he goes, these guys can't beat us. Because even if we do give it up and they score, like they haven't scored multiple touchdowns all season long. I mean, they can't score 17 points. So the point, it was in a weird way an easy situation to go for it. I think if he in the Chiefs situation at Levi's 17-9, does he play the same way? I don't know. I would say his history would say no. I think he does it against weaker opponents, which I'm all for. Step on their neck, kill them. I think you do that against the best opponents, and that's where it gives yourself a better chance. You know, it's not 4th and 7. Like 4th and 3 to me is right on the line, but 4th and 1, 4th and 2, I would say he's been inclined against better teams to punt in that situation up. I hope moving forward, maybe he's done some introspection and you realize I need to be a little more aggressive.
Maybe he has. I'm inclined to believe that it was somewhat opponent dependent. I also don't think he's completely opposed. I think he probably does see the value in that game in going for it 4th and 3 in that spot, not in that game. I mean, I think it's, to your point, I'm with you. I want to see it in other games before I think that's just what they're going to do, because against the Panthers, it's just a lower risk, decision. Because even if, the Chiefs can turn an 8-point deficit into a 10-point lead real quick. And like you said, the Panthers just weren't going to do that. But the Panthers had just scored on them, to start the second half. It scored a touchdown on them, right?
But to me, when you're playing Herbert or you're playing Mahomes,
totally,
being aggressive to score more points, even if it ends up leading to a field goal, is much more important than punting and hoping your defense can just always bail you out. And I think now, you're at the point now you're putting a lot of pressure on the back 7. If Bosa misses significant time and now you're missing Armstead and Kinlaw, like that's a lot of juice up front with those 3 guys out, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think I actually, you said Kansas City, and you're right. I think the Atlanta game is going to be kind of an interesting test if they're in the same spot, because Atlanta should just be a little bit better. They are. I mean, they've scored more points than Carolina is. They're a little scarier. Probably a little better home field advantage for Atlanta than there was for Carolina. You can always tell. The fastest way to tell how many Niner fans are there is for Kyle Juszczyk to touch the ball, and there were a lot of juice calls, a lot of juice calls. I just think it's going to be, I think Atlanta is just a better environment than Carolina, a tougher environment than Carolina. It's a dome. I think there's just a little more urgency, a little more nerves to go play the Atlanta Falcons, like you said earlier.
Here's the thing with Atlanta, guy. 26 points, 27 points, 27 points, 23 points. Today, yeah. I mean, I think the Bucs are one of the better defense in the league, 15 points.
Yeah.
And they're getting kind of housed.
You are going to have to score more.
Staying at the Greenbrier.
Stand at the Greenbrier. Record's very good when you stay at the Greenbrier. That was a good graphic on the broadcast today.
I missed that. They threw that up there.
They threw a graphic up, yeah, about like their record when they have back-to-back, and it said at the bottom like stay at the Greenbrier. It said it. I thought you saw it. That's why you were making that comment.
Greg Pop, I'm like, where are they staying? He's like, Greenbrier.